And today we've got our special guest. I'm gonna let him introduce himself. He's not new. I think
No.
it's third time.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So, hey, blessed.
Hello. Yes. I Blessed online. I go by Blessed or Dustin. Doesn't matter. One was just something that I picked up along the way. Uh, I spend my days anymore in heart-based living. I try to present various ways to help other people awaken to who they really are, and try to stay in their own authenticity and who they are once they figure that out. Like, now that you're here, how do you stay here, or how do you try to stay here in this space you found for yourself? So getting people awake and ready for the big blowout as we move forward. Woohoo! So
So, I've got a big question for you, blessed.
sure.
So, so the question, and I know that you love this type of question and you like to answer them as well. Um, so is the world actually getting worse, or are we just seeing more? What
Hmm.
do you think?
Well, I would say right now, worse. Maybe I'd say even chaotic. So awareness is raising. So things that have been going on the whole time are coming more into public consciousness. Let's say, like of course, Epstein was the most recent thing. Everybody's, was a buzz with that. I don't know if they still are now that we're moving on to the next distraction, but like that was very chaotic for people to learn about if they dared learn more than whatever they were being fed by, whatever media. Like, yeah, all those things that you maybe heard whispers of throughout your life actually were happening. And it was gruesome and horrifying and all of that. Does that mean there's an increase of chaos? No, that was there the whole time. It's just your awareness catching up with it, right? So maybe for you, it feels like in your own world, suddenly there's more chaos, but all things have to be seen as we move forward, right? That's like the whole point of disclosure. Nothing is in the dark anymore. So there's that aspect of it. But then, more recently, for example, of course, there's the Iran stuff going on and all of that. And I don't encourage anyone to go out and get lost in the sauce on this stuff. Okay. I'm only bringing it up because I hear about it and I don't go looking for this stuff. People just talk to me about it. Um, that would be kind of like an objective increase in chaos. Your awareness of it while it's happening right now doesn't mean that your rise in awareness caused more chaos in your life. It's just this event is actually happening right now. So it's another part of the script. It's another part of the play. It has to play out because there are people out there with expectations that this has to be a thing. If I were to just really boil it down, so I'd say it's really both, but mostly I would say it's people's awareness increasing because most of the things have just been going on the whole time and people were just asleep to them. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think yeah, people's awareness expanding. You're only going to be the matching frequency to what things are going to show up in front of yourself. Anyway, before your eyes, if you're not vibrating that particular frequency, I don't think you will see any of this stuff. So yeah, what you're saying resonate with me because I have noticed personally like things that are new, glitch in reality. I remember I probably said it before, but I had an event where I put in the fridge. It was like a leftover kebab, and one was my son's one, and the other one was my daughter's one, and they eat
I think I
differently.
might
So
remember this. Yeah.
yeah, so one like to eat the bread, the other one like to leave some bread, and so they were not the same, and had the weaknesses and everything, and one was on top, one was at the bottom, and then the next day. Um, just to say, oh yeah, could you grab the kebab for me? I say, all right, cool. I'll just warm that up. And I asked them, hang on a minute. I remember you one was on top and you one was on, at the bottom. So which one is which? Did you like switch it over overnight? And they said, no, we didn't touch it at all. and the thing was not at the same place, and no one touched the fridge at all overnight. So these are the glitches that I've noticed now as I
Yeah.
expand my awareness. I realize
Oh
it's
yeah,
a
you
bit
can
like,
catch that stuff
yeah,
definitely. Like
yeah, like
before I'd be like, "Oh, it was a fridge gremlin," or be funny about it,
yeah,
right? But it's like,
yeah,
no, something glitched there. Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely glitching. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I think that's part of it as well. I mean, did you experience such things like what do they call that? The butterfly effect, or
Hmm. Yeah, butterfly
these
effect. There's also the
what
Mandela
was,
effect, of
yeah,
course, and
Mandela effect? And
yeah.
have you experienced that?
Yes, yes. Oh my goodness. The most vivid example I could give, and I think I might have brought this up before, but like there was a genie movie with Sinbad, and I saw the movie preview poster at the theater, like right here in front of my face when I was much younger, and like no one can take that away from me because you just know when you know, right? Like it doesn't matter what anybody else has to say about it, but that movie doesn't exist. I guess it's like
Yeah,
that's one of the most just seared into my brain moments of that because and then once you notice one of them, you'll notice the second one, and then you'll be like, okay, well, am I nuts? Did I, misremember this? But as time goes on, you realize it's like you're really just catching very subtle changes that are happening, and everybody has these if they just have the awareness that they're going on. So,
yeah. I mean, for me, it was like skipping days, or even hours.
hmm.
And I'm like, I don't remember Wednesday, like
Well,
these type
God,
of
especially
thing.
with your Alice in Wonderland syndrome when you were younger too, right? Like,
Oh, that was,
how do
yeah,
you? Well, that wasn't really like a glitch, but having had those experiences, how could you not then? Like, if you saw the kebabs moved around, for example, it'd be like, well, of course it's a glitch, because to you,
yeah.
it's like you've already noticed that this place is pretty plastic, right? Pliable, like,
Exactly. But one thing's now, I guess that's probably why I had OCD, because I had to double check reality
oh,
constantly,
yeah,
and
I could see how
that's
that would
actually
lead to
where it's
that.
from. And I used to see the like the wall just wobbling, wall of the room, stuff like that. So yeah, you're right. I am very well aware that's, you know, whatever you see, it's like literally fueled by our consciousness, us, our thoughts, and now we literally manifesting our reality before our eyes. And
Right.
but yeah, a lot of people are reporting stuff like that, or deja vu, a lot more, or things like literally days or don't exist, like disappearing, like the whole entire Wednesday, or sometimes even 2 days. Like when I kind of like say wake up, Monday, and I'm doing Tuesday, and then by the time you know it, I'm already Friday.
Hmm.
So these things happen sometimes. It's just when you notice this thing. But I think
Yeah.
it's because your awareness are expanding, and
Hmm.
our consciousness is expanding.
Oh, it's probably like your personal awareness is expanding because all of this is you. If there's two people in the room, there's two rooms basically, right? Like you
Yeah,
are your own universe unto yourself. But like on an individual level, you'll notice it. But then on a collective level, even as as things get more, say, chaotic, if you want to put it that way, on the outside, and people, you know, are made more aware of things as well, there's probably going to be more glitchy moments or like I've talked with a number of people and people that are like I guess you could say asleep that at least notice that time feels very weird and like fast now compared to how it used to be. Like at least they notice even if they aren't conscious of it necessarily. Like they can stop once in a while and go, "Wow, yeah, man, it just feels like time's just flying. It's so strange."
well,
For
I,
example.
I actually don't remember 2016. I don't know if
Hmm.
you guys been through that. But and by the way, hi everyone. Saying
Yeah,
hi
hi.
MJ. Hi Co Oliver, Kennedy, Stacy. Hi everyone. Yeah. Tell us guys if you experience these type of things, because
Yeah, chime
these are
in.
real. Yeah, more than the chaos. These are the thing I'm experiencing now. These are, and sometimes it's just got to take a minute. It's like, okay, what just happened here? And I'm even I went as far as some event that happened throughout my life. I'm even asking myself if I didn't die that day, but just didn't realize. That's
Oh,
how
yeah?
far it goes, right?
Yeah, I've experienced that before actually, where it was like things felt so just like I had to jump a timeline or something because the day before I just said, "Nope, no more of this," and drove off a bridge or something, you know? Like, you you catch up and it's like, "Why did I" man, it feels like I like you timeline jumped, I guess, like something's off and you can't put your finger on it, but yeah, you know?
Yeah, because actually, you know what? Actually, I don't even know it's something I thought about, but it was
Mhm.
kind of like almost like some information coming in, and some of us basically what it was the whole concept was some of us we did reduce. It's like we things didn't go according to what we were supposed to do, and then we came back, and there's few movies are based off of that as well. Or I saw that Korean movie, and that's actually a show, and it was based off of that. The person died but had to come back.
Hmm.
So I think that things like these, a lot of that reality is not as static as we think it is.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So yeah.
Hi, Jay.
So what about the chaos and disclosure? Do you pay any attention, or you just
Um, I find that for where I'm at in life, people will bring up things to me that it seems like I probably need to be made aware of, or like it's part of the script. Like everybody has to be aware of thing happening right now. So even if I'm not, I don't pay attention to the news. I don't seek out the news. I don't go anywhere near news things. But then people will bring my awareness towards certain aspects of what's going on, and it's like, okay, I can recognize that that's part of the play. That's part of disclosure in a lot of ways. When the UAP UFO stuff going on, for example, like yeah, okay, cool. But knowing what I know and just kind of walking in my own sovereignty, basically, as a soul, and pulling my own knowing in from within. Let's say, anytime that there's an aspect of that that shows up, I just know, oh, that's part of the play, and I needed to know that because it's going to let me interact and relate to people that are going through like lost in the sauce and maybe need some help getting out of it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So,
Yeah, I'm saying like, hey Jay, you're absolutely right. 444. I mean, wasn't it yesterday? Like,
oh yeah,
we're talking about that. I'm seeing 444 everywhere. I mean, Shem's mentioned it so many times, but it's like everybody. I mean, what does it mean really? Like,
yeah.
if we all are we manifesting this 444, or is it something we're meant to see
Oh, that's like the
as like a sign, and
yeah,
we meant to respond to it?
right, yeah. It's like
Because what do you do with it?
the grand game, right? Like, am I making this up, or is it a sign coming to me, or is it me seeing what I want to see? And you go back and forth with that, right? And you
Yeah,
never know. You will probably never, like, you can have every confidence that it's a sign showing up for you. Did you put that sign there because you are looking for signs in the first place? Like,
why?
because your reality is your reality. Like, you could, if you seeing an eagle or something, like something out in nature is your sign for like good things or something. Well, now that you're putting that expectation out there, your reality will shift such that you will see that when there is good news. Like, that's the funny game of it. Like, it's yeah,
It's really
yeah.
it's interesting you mentioning this because as late I have noticed few things and one thing in particular. I remember growing up all the time people used to say don't say if, specifically if you wanted to manifest, right? It
Mm,
wasn't the thing to do, right? It was like, no, you have to be sure. You never say if. And I found myself saying if quite often actually. But more like it would be nice if did would
mm,
happen, or if this will be the case. And I kid you not, every single time I said that, things actually happen within 2 weeks. There was the other day, the last thing, two things actually happened. Sometime, I play Fortnite. Nah, yeah, that happened. And I was like, you know what? They need to bring back that they had these
somebody go
typhoon
find his
blades.
Fortnite profile.
Yeah, right. No, But you know, I was like, yeah, you know what? I love that Typhoon blade they have, and be nice if they bring it back, right?
Mhm.
Not even a week later, they brought it back. There was another thing. It was like for bank transfer. I was like, oh, why don't they? It'd be nice if they just do like immediate transfer, like instead of having to wait. I mean, we know it exists,
Mhm.
it's there, and we can use it, right? And then
Especially
not
in
even a
today's
week
day and
later,
age, right?
they
Yeah.
started implementing that on the actually particular account to
Oh,
to the point that I had like another account from the same company, and it's not there on that particular account. And I was like, how? And then I
amazing.
was like, and when you do that, but I asked myself the question. I say, how come this is happening?
Mhm.
Because I could have swear if is like people used to say, yeah, if you say if it's you've been that full and it's not gonna be great and whatnot.
Mhm. Well,
And
you're
then
touching on a sorry,
and
you're touching on a
yeah,
great concept there regarding words. We are taught the meaning of words here, right? And then
right.
we cast spells, quote unquote, on ourselves throughout our whole life based on these common understandings of what words mean. But when you're younger, especially because it's easier when you're younger, maybe that word means something completely different to you, and you know exactly what it means to you. So it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks about it. Like that is your word. Like you could have the most egregious string of words together that means this is going to work and come true and whatever, like it feels like truth to you. Everybody else is going to think that you're insane, but it just keeps working for you anyway. Like it's your magic words, if you want to put it that way, right?
Well, what you know
So
what?
maybe if to you was a very strong term, you know.
But you know what? You're actually quite close to what it is. So I took the time to just recall the feeling. Like, what was I feeling when I was saying that? And I realized I was actually doing something I was doing as a kid. I was just be like, using my imagination and thinking like, oh wow, that would be nice if did it. And then that's what I used to do when I was a kid.
Yeah, that
Essentially,
childlike
when I
wonder.
wanted something, say, oh, it'd be nice if I could go
Yeah.
to the seaside or whatever it was at the time, and usually used to happen. So that is basically what essentially what was happening every time I'm saying that, and I was able to record every time I've said that, in the past, not even so long ago, and every time things materialized. Every time I say it would be nice if, and then so that surprised me because for a long time I thought like now if you say if, it's just like you're not gonna get nothing from it, you know.
Yeah.
So
Right.
but anyway, so how do you operate in terms of discernment, like when you see all these news and stuff like that? I mean, I call it personally what I see now at the moment, um reverse disclosure.
Mm.
So a bit like reverse psychology.
Hmm.
So what's your feeling about that?
Yeah. So, all right. So I guess to sum it up in a phrase, the they, the griefers, the people who are here to create contrast for the rest of us, will continue the gag until the very end of this whole, like, as we approach, finality and everybody waking back up and all of that. They are going to continue doing the same script that they have been doing the whole time. Like, for example, yesterday, April Fools, there was a moon launch. Brendan from Corey's group let
Yeah.
me know they were doing that, and he was laughing and laughing about that because it was like, of course they do it on April Fool's Day. But like, there's going to be all of these moments that are set up to be basically or reverse or false disclosures. So, like, these are set designed to distract you and keep your focus locked on things that are not yourself, not going within, not what matters to you. And there's no reason for them to stop. They'll keep doing that until the very, very end. So I'm sure people, if you've, I brought up UFOs, UAPs, for example. I don't know how many of you heard of like Project Bluebeam. It's something that's been talked about before, is like the government's way of having this alien disclosure, and it's going to be this big holographic shit show in the sky or whatever, right? Like, that is not helping with disclosure. It's trying to put you back into fear. So, getting to discernment versus fear. If something is designed such that it makes you feel fearful, or if you are operating from a place of discernment and can recognize that this seems to be set up to instill fear in people, because even if it's not making you afraid, you can look at it and realize your average Joe, average Jane is going to be like, "Ugh," and that's not helping anybody. So when you get to a place of discernment and know it's discernment and not fear, it's because you can sit there and think of any, like, if there's two paths to go or two options, for example, do either of those make you feel fearful? Feel the fear? No. I'm just objectively the observer, the casual observer on the outside, casual observer, as Corey would put it. Um, and I'm just observing these two paths. And this one I can recognize is a fearful option. This is something that you would do if you were in fear. This is something you would do if you were outside of fear or realized that fear could not control you. You operated in love, however you'd like to put it. So, yeah, I think it all ties together right there, really. Discernment's a big deal. And I hope people can develop that more. And I've been working with people to develop that more lately. So, yeah, that's important right now because it's only going to get nuttier from here.
But do you think we going to into a direction where maybe one day there'll be no fear at all,
Yes.
or a bit similar, a bit the same as the idea of get going from love to unconditional love? Because at this present moment, it seems for many people, and despite what I know, like I've got my own answer for that, but I'm just saying that in terms of how many people um, they find it hard to see that as being possible. Like, you know, not being fearful at all,
Right.
being into a world, living in a world where this doesn't exist at all.
Mm.
And I'll give you an example. We're talking about the idea behind mass weapon destruction, right?
Hmm.
Why they decided they're going to go and do all these war, it was based off the fact that who should have one and who shouldn't.
Hmm.
And obviously states were operating from a place of fear or what could be seen as such, but obviously it's more layered than that. But I'm just saying, like, okay, we need one because if we don't have one we can't defend ourselves. It's a bit like the logic behind that and the way a lot of people are operating in their life, like a bit of a mirror to
Hmm.
that. um how do you begin to get over the fear in the first place, and should you look to eradicate the fear?
Hmm. Yeah. So recognizing the fear in the first place, if using your example, if everybody has the capacity to wipe out, humanity, let's say through some sort of weapon, is that really safety? you know, like that to me, that strikes me. That strikes me as being just extremely fearful because that's the only reason to do that. You are afraid that somebody else could do it, therefore you need the ability to do it, which is the height of absurdity to me. But uh, yeah, so governments or whatever people build on this idea and remain in fear most of their lives, but they're not facing their fears, right? A lot of people, and I've done it too, and I'm sure I'll run into more as I continue that are still little speed bumps for me. It's just part of the journey, right, guys? So um, your your fears are there to be recognized as things that make you feel fear and get over it, like understand why they make you feel that way so you can let them go. Like if you're a kid or something and you're afraid of a boogeyman in the closet or under your bed, how do you get over that? Well, eventually you just got to jump off the freaking bed, run into the closet and go, ah, and like they're not there, right? You look under the bed, not there, or whatever. Like you have to take it upon yourself to face it. And the moment you face it, it evaporates and goes away forever because fear only seeks to create more fear. It's like its own little hobgoblin or something. Just it wants to create it more and more and more of itself. It doesn't do anything but create more fear. So it can't hurt you. It can't harm you on its own. People acting from fear may be able to do that, but that's kind of a byproduct of this silly physical place more than anything. Um, your soul's not going to get hurt. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So would you say okay, um what is it really facing you first? Because okay, some would say, okay, well, essentially is fine, you feel fear, you recognize that, okay, it's coming up, but
Mhm.
you don't address it. You just keep walking like it doesn't exist, because it does not exist. It's purely a reaction to your environment, really. You're reacting to what's going on around you.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But
If you're in a
I
mindful
feel
state.
like when people understand face you fear, they
Mhm.
identify themselves to it. That's why you've got these things where it's like a phobia. It's just never really seems to go
Mhm.
away. It's always showing up.
Like you own, like there's an ownership element to it. Like
Right.
that's my fear. I have to face my fear.
Yeah. Do you think,
Yeah.
in a sense, to actually, because I understand what you meant, but I'm just
Mhm.
saying, like,
No, this is a good
for
point.
for some people, they may be like, okay, well, yeah, I'm trying to face my fears, but it's still there, like, because they are looking to get rid of it as opposed to integrate that fear as maybe well, for instance, when say if you get into a fight, you got this adrenaline, so you they fighters knows that they know that in boxing, basically, that adrenaline, it's your body preparing themselves for what's to come. It's not
Mhm.
actually, although it's what you would perceive as apprehensions or fear, but you actually getting yourself up to something, and as a gauge
Sure.
how ready you are. So
Mhm.
it's, they see it in a different ways, because you're not scared. If
They're
you're a boxer,
meeting
you're not
the
scared to be hurt necessarily. I mean, you
true,
might have
true.
some apprehension, but you know what's to come, right?
Well,
But
they are choosing to meet it in a different way entirely because now they understand, right? Like I'm sure when you're new to boxing, for example, the first time you get up there to get your butt kicked or to kick somebody else's butt, I mean, you might be in a place of, adrenaline fueled. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it, or whatever. But I'm sure there's butterflies in your stomach, at least to
yeah,
varying degrees for most of them. I'm sure you're still sitting there a little nervous, a little afraid, or whatever. But you do it for the 200th time, and you can recognize that there's still the option to feel that way if you want, but instead you know what it really means to you is that you're just getting ready for the moment. So you choose not to be in fear,
yeah,
and you choose in different ways, so that would make the fear not yours. And yeah, no one really, you don't own thoughts, you don't own emotions. They're things that pass through you or pass by, and in terms of thought, pass through you in terms of emotion. So yeah, I guess that would go back to the observer effect too then.
yeah,
Recognizing that I might feel this way in this moment, but I don't have ownership of that, or I could feel that way, but I'm choosing not to because it ain't me.
yeah.
So that's
I
a good
I
that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up.
I resonate with what you just said, because I think there's a threshold. There's a point where you let it consume you, and because okay, because at the end of the day, let's be realistic here a little bit. If I put you um in a field, and that field is full of tigers, let's say, you're going to react. Something's going to happen. You know, you may not fear death, but you know that it might hurt on the way to you crossing over, right? So you'll brace yourself, right? There's this
Mhm.
anticipation,
Right.
which like in boxing, that's what's happening.
Right.
Basically,
Yeah,
you brace yourself. There's a
anticipation instead of
yeah.
fear, kind
So
of.
there's a
Yeah.
slight difference between the person, if inevitably you'll cross over anyway, where you can have the plane scenario. When you're on the plane and the plane's about to crash. Well, you whether let go, and then you'll be okay, or you are terrorized the whole way down, right?
Ooh, I got something for that one actually. So because
Right, go,
I
should go ahead.
so we're landing in where were we going? Landing in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and we got pretty close to the airport. There was a big storm that was just kind of skirting the edge of town. And so when you're on the edge of a storm, it's almost worse because the winds are just crazy, right? Because you got this nice calm area just outside of the storm, and then the storm's just causing all kinds of chaos. And as we're flying in, we're banking to get ready to do our approach and realize that the storm is now clipping where the airport's at. And the plane shook. I'm surprised it still had wings by the time the shaking was done, because it was like up and down, and oh my god, it was the most I've ever been jostled around before in a plane. I'm impressed the plane held together as well as it did, really. Uh, but in that moment, given what, and this happened somewhat recently, so I'm in the state I'm in now by and large, and it was like, huh, wow, well, this sure is, not the way I would choose to go, but I mean, if it happens, it happens. Like, just being like, oh wow, this is really uncomfortable, instead of being like, ah, we're all gonna die. Like, it was just a difference in choosing how to handle the situation, I guess. So yeah, like getting
Did
out
you
of fear.
I was going to say, did you
Oh, go ahead,
realize
go
you
ahead.
had the choice to react at that particular time, or wait,
Um,
where?
it's like it was automatic because of where I'm at now, but yeah, it was a choice. Like, I stayed in observer mode basically, and didn't fall into fear. Like, I didn't have any moments of fear. I mean, my guts were in my like throat, and then vice versa, let's say, depending on what was going on with the plane. And there was plenty of moments where I could have felt fear, but it was all just observation. And this is after me facing other fears and getting used to this. I guess, using your analogy of the boxer, like, the more you can recognize fear when it pops up in your life, the more you can get to a point where it's almost like it's automatic, and you're just like, whatever happens happens. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
because the reason why I'm saying this is because I see if you comment. By the way, Jay, yeah, absolutely, like disclosure first.
yeah.
Yeah, before the real
Oh yeah,
disclosure.
there's a lot of good chats there,
Yeah,
huh?
of course. And
Oh, MJ
hey,
said
hey,
one from way
Annie,
back there.
you say Iran war was a distraction for the regime change. Yeah, I mean, all of these things, when you realize you almost not concerned about these things, you just they're going to happen with or without you anyway.
Hmm.
So but to your point, blessed about being in a situation where you can realize basically that you've got a choice, because this is what's happening. It's essentially people are realizing, I have a choice to react. And obviously, because what you do as well, the one-on-one you're doing, you I guess you're teaching people this as well, how you become self-aware, so no matter what the situation is, you're able to have that reflection, because this is the whole point. If you get the more you get you're aware, the more you can choose the way you react, let's say,
Hmm.
as opposed to just an uncontrollable reaction. Because
Right.
it's funny when you mention being in the plane, and then your body, and that's what I mentioned before, things are stored in your body as well, so your body may react a certain way, like the adrenaline and the way you're, but you could still be in full awareness and know that basically you're okay, and you're able to tell yourself that. So how would you advise someone to actually in these moments where they hear, there's a war that's coming, and they believe that, because I'm not
Right.
talking about the one who don't believe that anyway, and because they find anyway. So so how do you talk to this,
Like,
to these people?
how would you prepare for fear, or how would you learn to start recognizing fear for what it is, and
Yeah, should you
kind of,
brace yourself?
well, I mean, you could at first, I suppose. It depends on what's going on, of course, like situationally. If you are in an area that's actually turning into a war zone, yeah, bracing yourself's probably part of it. I'd imagine trying to find a way to get out of there is another way. And I would say, when you're first starting out with, like, this is like throwing yourself in the deep end as far as learning how to differentiate between fear and discernment, in this example. But maybe you do get your butt out of there, you get your family out, and then you kind of do a post-mortem analysis on what happened, right? And you're like, oh wow, yeah, I was so scared for a while there, but then I realized, looking back on it, like, it was all good. I had to do X, I had to do Y, I had to do Z, and then I got out of the situation and I was okay. So maybe in looking over that, you can then apply that. You apply that forward then, right? With any fearful situation, whatever it is, um, you can recognize where it got the best of you, maybe, or where it was like in the driver's seat and you let it be in the driver's seat, and just the it's kind of like flexing a muscle, I guess. The more you do it, the easier it becomes to catch yourself in those moments and go, oh, no, 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 no. Like I'm not freaking out this time. So, yeah, yeah, discernment. I guess discernment you could just even say is like the observer effect, like the observer mode when you're in that higher mind. You're in pure awareness of what's going on. Like it's really just kind of training yourself to do it because I would say most of us, unless we've been up on a mountaintop in a very fancy looking loincloth, diaper, whatever, chanting Om all of our lives, probably have spent most of our lives in a loop of these unconscious actions. I would say that's a good way to put it, with fear and what have you. And moving into conscious action, moving into the driver's seat of your life, um, it takes some training, it takes some time, and you'll fall in and out of it a little bit as things happen in your life, and you got to learn through life's trials and tribulations. So, um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Because this, I mean,
right,
we're
Jay.
talking
Sorry,
about,
Jay. All a moment, moment to moment, even within the script. Right, they're just moments. They're just things you're
yeah,
experiencing. Remember, your
yeah,
soul can't get hurt.
absolutely.
So,
And you know what? I mean, for most of the people, it's not that dramatic. Even though I think there's a part of people that like to be entertained by the idea of disclosure,
mhm.
and
Oh, people want a
if they
story, don't they? God, they
they
love
they
their
want a
stories.
story, the idea of justice, and even if they say no, no, I don't walk the path of righteousness anymore. You want disclosure for a lot of people is because they like, aha, I knew it. Like, that
Yeah, that too.
the
The desire to be
aha
right.
moment, right? Yeah, exactly. So, but for the most part, I think one thing that I have noticed though, it's people um remaining in their alignment, trying to follow the path. This is the most terrifying thing for them, in terms of, and often is sometimes, quitting the current job situation. Sometimes people would like, or they would like to try and to do some things that they always wanted to do, but they don't necessarily have the courage to do so because of the current situation, or at least, because I've been in a situation like that where I made the excuses and say, well, I
Mhm.
can't do this and I can't do that and I can't do that.
Haven't we all?
Right. But that was just generally speaking, me being in fear at the time, because it was like, okay, yeah, I'm thinking if I do this, this is the consequence. If I do that, this is what's going to happen. So I was already pre-deciding what was going to happen, as opposed to, letting the universe respond, right? Because
Right.
now being in alignment and following my joy. But the issue is I wasn't necessarily sure I could just remain joyful while I'm doing it, because all the challenges that potentially can come my way. So a lot of people are still in that.
Hmm.
So how do you resonate with that? And then if you ever been through something like that, how do you come out on the other hand?
Yeah. Well, a lot of it has to do with just learning yourself, learning, knowing thyself, if you want to put it that way. Like recognizing you're even doing it is a good place to start. Um, but everybody's answer is going to be slightly different depending on their own experiences and where they're at. But by and large, underneath it all, when it comes to things like that, like you're choosing how you feel in any given moment. And it doesn't matter what that moment looks like. If you're, in the lap of luxury, if you're out caught in a snowstorm and your car's stuck in a ditch or something, or whatever it is, like it doesn't matter. You get to choose how you feel in those moments. You have all the power to feel as you wish to feel in those moments. Like you can stay in a loving state no matter what's going on. And I know we've talked about the map of consciousness a lot before, for example, right?
Yeah.
If you're in those higher vibes, let's say of gratitude, of love, or whatever, and staying here and letting this kind of do, like, this is doing the bidding of your heart. Like this is here to help you interact with the without, but it's not there to run the show. So if you can keep that, then I would suggest in any moment where anything bad is happening, you'll find the lesson in it very quickly. Number one, and it might be a lesson that's been looping in your life a lot. And once you learn it, it kind of doesn't need to loop anymore. Um, so you can figure that out faster. Number one. Number two, you'll pull yourself out of it faster. You'll move into a more joyful. Being in a higher vibe means that everything on the outside ends up in a higher vibe too. So even if you're in those states when you're like transition, when you're just kind of figuring out how to do this, or you're at a particularly low point, even though you know this stuff, because so this is the other thing, right? And I've been there. You figure this stuff out and you learn how to apply it, but then you have a moment in your life that seems like you've been, vibing pretty high, and then suddenly you're just and you just nosedive again, and you're like, oh God, not this again. Now that you know those things, you could sit there and go, oh yeah, oh, I just gotta feel like I'm in love, right? Woo, woo. And you do that for a little while, but that is what it is. And if you just reapply those, you'll shoot right back up, and life will go back to being, at a higher frequency overall. You choose how your experience is every single moment. And the
I, th-
more you can keep in that high vibe, the better.
I think that's the part that's difficult for many people to understand,
I get it.
because when you say it, I know people like, I want to believe that, right?
Right.
And
Oh yeah, that's
they
the other
don't
thing.
they don't necessarily feel it,
Hmm. They can
and
get the concept,
yeah,
but
and they don't know how to apply it. And what we're trying to do, anyway, and I think that's the goal of that conversation as well, is to get people in a place where they actually can begin to apply that.
mhm,
And it's interesting the point you made in terms of having that self-reflection, because you have this, I mean, at the beginning, which what I've noticed for myself, I used to have these moments where I have that self-reflection, and I'm like, no, this is it, this is my path, that's what I got to do. But I like consistency. That's the thing.
mhm,
So I lacked consistency. I wasn't consistent enough, so I couldn't maintain that. um I don't even like to say that emotion, that frequency.
mhm.
But I didn't know at the time, because you see, people call it an emotion. I didn't know it was like a frequency. I didn't know at the time it was a game of frequency, and then you need to maintain that frequency. I mean, at least overall, because it's it doesn't always stay up. It just go up and down, and then it's like an overall signal that you want to maintain, right?
Right.
Um, but what I began to realize is, when because when people say fear is not real, people are like, no, that it is real. That's It feels real at the moment, but I realized that what part wasn't real. And I don't know if you had the same reflection that I did, but I realized fear, it is not real, but what is real is the way I react to it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good way to look at it.
And
Hopefully.
I realized how fear was just a perception. It was just the signal I perceived because of my frequency at that particular moment. So if I was thinking of despair, I was seeing despair.
Hmm.
And what made it real, it was just my reaction to it.
Right. It's
But
that
yeah,
you're so powerful, and you do create every moment of your life, that it's easy to. It's so simple that it seems like it's so freaking complicated and hard sometimes, right? Like, I'm in despair, therefore, well, what was I expecting? Like, I brought that in. Um, and yeah, it's just a matter of choosing another way. Now, of course, that's easier said than done sometimes. But yeah, yeah, just to your point, real quick, yeah.
because yeah, I've been through that before, and I've got some of my friend. I mean, when I talk to them, they're like, yeah, but I can't do without this or without that. They already told themselves, oh, I can't do without, and I'm like, my answer to them is usually is like, no, who says you're going to do without?
Hmm.
Sometimes letting go of some of these things you think you can't do without only lead you to get better than what you already have, because you
Right,
started so low, but you will need to be able to allow this. And that's
right.
some things I struggled with for a long time. I
Hmm.
was like, well, I need this. Like, sometimes down to a car, I was like, I need a car, or down
Hmm.
to, um, I needed to get certain things in my life, certain and I didn't see that basically what was hanging on to it was some things that it was below me, and my higher self was telling me like, no, it's okay. And for me, one of the main thing as well as late for me was the idea of having a house, and I
Mm,
mean owning a house. The
right.
idea, well, as late, not so
Owning
late
a
because now it's been a couple
house.
of years, but because what I've been through, I've been able to just be like, okay, and
Well,
needed to hang
it would
on to
help
the
if you
idea
could
of that.
actually own it too. Just as a quick
Yeah,
sidebar, like, yeah, I
yeah,
totally own my house, guys. I didn't pay
yes,
property taxes for 2 years. Oops, I don't own my house anymore.
yeah.
You know,
So the idea, exactly. So the idea for me was it was that, um, yeah, trying to hang on to things like that. For me, it was also car as well. There's not wanting to part with with my car because it was actually at the time not the car I wanted in the first place. There was certain personal goods that I had, and I
like what the car
decided,
represented to you, not
yeah,
necessarily the car.
exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. So I decided to let go of these. Um, no, okay, this is what it was for me. For me, it was like told myself every time I say, let me go, let's allow myself to let go of this particular thing.
Hmm.
I equated that as never getting it again.
Oh
I
yeah.
didn't realize at the time. So, but every time I used to say that, and then one day I was like, who say you not?
Right.
We're talking
Started
about
examining your beliefs. Right. Yeah.
yeah, it was like this particular thing, this particular one. And for a long time, these are the pattern I used to have about the thing I used to own. So now I have a complete different outlook on ownership.
Hmm.
But that's the experience I had, and down to even what people say my job in the industry.
Oh
It
sure. Yeah.
wasn't, yeah, it wasn't about stopping what I was doing. It
Hmm.
was the people I used to work with. It was to let go of that situation. But no matter how much someone told me, I was so offended by the idea of that, I couldn't let go of the very thing that was like not benefiting me.
Right.
So I was insisting to stay not on my highest timeline, on the actual worst sometimes.
This is great because it
Yeah.
explains our own tendencies, and I still have some that I recognize every now and then. Like it's a process forever, like in this physical life, I would say. But um, you're examining your beliefs. You caught yourself like, why? Why does this matter? Well, because blah 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 blah. And then as you get to the meat of it, you start seeing the beliefs that are attached to the material thing, whether that's a job or a car, or, whatever. Um, and then you realize how silly they are ultimately. Like if you can work it through the whole way, you're like, well, wait, so really what I'm doing. So me as a creator being here in amnesia, having my experience, I am saying that I am less than this job, less than this car. Like this is the best I could ever possibly get, and there's no way for it to ever get better than this. Like, I mean, if you really, really zoom out, it's almost like divine comedy. Like really, you're getting
It
hung up
really
on
is.
a car? You?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you're
It
so much
really
more than
is.
that. You're the
Uh,
whole universe, and you're hung up on a friggin' Volvo or whatever it is, right? Like, come on.
but I promise you, like, for me, it was like, all right, because Shem mentioned it before. We
Hmm.
were homeless and we had a situation that happened
Right.
that ended us, that basically we ended up to be homeless as a result. So we had to just flip it around and do different thing, right? But at that time, I didn't like letting go of my property was a no. Let go of my car was a no. It was like no, 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 because how much effort I put into it, and that's when I was in the business of efforting still, even though I had my awakening already. I already knew some stuff,
Hmm.
but this is why I have compassion for people that are in that situation still,
Oh, absolutely.
because if you think just because you're working, you're over these things, you may not be.
Yeah. Yeah. Odds are
And
you're going to cruise along and then fall right on your butt out of nowhere and be like, oh,
yeah,
not again.
yeah, exactly. So for me, it was a big challenge. And it's, I wouldn't say I was late, but it hasn't been that long ago when I decided, you know what, I don't need this stuff. It's not because I don't want them. It's because in the way, and then it was the momentum that was created for my own doing from the past certain decisions that I made to acquire these things. I realized that one, I never followed what I wanted in the first place. I never
Mhm.
stayed in alignment. Had
It
I
was a
did,
compromise in the first place,
yeah.
huh?
So now I understood, I had more understanding and love for myself as far as what certain things were living or I had to let go
Mhm.
because it did not benefit me, because it was never meant to be mine in the first place. I was just forcing this thing.
Right.
Not
Like
that,
you had
yeah,
a square peg in the round hole. Like it kind of
yeah,
fit if you smashed it in there, but
yeah,
like, and you got
absolutely.
used to it being like that, but it was never
Yeah,
meant to be there anyway.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And I realized that, and part of that reality we're talking about, like the glitch in the reality, is how how you begin to notice these things is when you allow yourself to shift. As I was shifting, I was noticing these things more and more and more and more. But I had to let go of a few things, and these are the things that was very challenging. So, what would you advise um, someone if they want to literally, you know, shift their whole entire life, and what would be
Right.
the first advice you give them actually?
Sure. Yeah. So if you're at a point in your life where you feel like you're just straight up not happy with your life, period, like everything sucks, or you didn't want to end up here and yet you ended up here somehow. Um, Look for places where you're clinging on to that life very tightly still, because there's going to be at least one, if not several, probably several. Um, because you're some part of you is in survival mode, some part of you is stuck up here too much, and you're thinking that this is the best you could do because X, because Y, because A, because B. And the more that you do that, you create these loops that keep you up here and keep you out of here. So recognize when you're thinking yourself to death, basically. Uh, if you feel like you're in survival mode, and you have to be honest with yourself about this, of course, because if you sit there and lie to yourself and say, oh no, well, this is the best it can be, or whatever, then, well, congratulations, that's the best it can be because you're in charge. So uh, you have to recognize those patterns and then start breaking them down, and let go of things. Like, look for where you're just like, oh, like you're just clinging on for dear life, and you'll, as you examine your beliefs more and walk through your day to day more, you'll know exactly where those spots are. Maybe you don't recognize the feeling quite yet, but it's not going to feel very good. You're going to feel like ugh with yourself about it, or some element of fear will be attached to it. And I mean, there's fear at the base of all of these things, but as you can recognize them, you could then realize you have the choice. Oh, I am just clinging for dear life to this, you know, job that's like half of what I ever really wanted in a job. And the half that's good is the half that I feel like I can't do better than this, basically. I mean, if you really boil it down, I'm unworthy, I'm not valuable enough, or I can't, or I'm afraid of. I mean, if people are really honest, it's really that one. But I'm unworthy of something. I'm not valuable enough to obtain something, whether that's the job that you truly wanted, or the car, or whatever it is. It's recognizing where you're clinging on for dear life because that's survival mode, and that's not real. This is an experience you're having that can be shaped any way you want it to be. Actually, any way you want it, within the confines of the game as it's set up, of course. But like, that doesn't mean that you're limited by what somebody else, what your parents told you, what you keep repeating to yourself. You may have whatever you wish from your experience. You just have to be willing to surrender to it and have the experience. So if that means that things have to fall away first to get out of the way for the new, let them fall away. Just know what you know your path. We talked before we were going live about knowing and believing, right? Like, know what your path is, and if you know what your path is, it doesn't matter what happens to get you there. You're eternal anyway. So
Yeah.
who cares? Just go
You
along
know,
for the ride.
it's yeah. As you say that, I just remember my real reason why I didn't want to. Because okay, I'll just give you a backstory. Yeah. Um, we just after our last child was born,
Hmm.
um, we knew we're gonna need this, whether we get a bigger car or we get rid of that car. And the reason why I mentioned that is because it's very significant. Um, and at the time I was like, now like, well, even if you do get a new one, we'll keep that one until we get the new one, right?
Hmm.
And I said, yeah, because what we're gonna do, like, I mean, at least, yeah, fine, we can't all get into the car, but at least like it's a ride, right? So let's keep it. And I
Hmm.
was just like, and then was and the circumstances in which we got the car in the first place and what came along with it because of the energy, the lack of clearing, my energy field back then brought other things with it, and I could feel the energy of that car. But then I remember one thing. I was like, what's stopping me? I asked myself, what's stopping me to just get rid of it? And what was stopping me? It's not being my gratitude. So basically, I did not see. We moved into an area you can walk everywhere. You're 5 minutes
I,
away
as an American, I
from
can't even fathom that.
everything. When I tell you I don't need a car, I really don't. Where I am, I don't. If I have one, it's just a choice at this point. It's become that now. I want one, but I couldn't see my blessings
Yeah,
just
blind to
because I
what's
was
right in
staying
front of you.
stuck
Hmm.
on old stuff. Because that car wasn't benefiting us anyway. And then I realized that if anything, I just had to spend money on it anyway.
Right.
So actually, more was
Maintenance,
going out than
insurance,
coming in
whatever.
anyway.
Yeah. Hmm.
And then I had to just be like, and it has little to see with the car in itself. It's just the mechanism in which I was stuck in. It was that, what can once I realized that was that I was even like, interested in pushing things further. What is it that made me stuck there? What was I? What was I doing? What was I thinking or hanging on to?
Well, maybe it's like it was your reality. Like, oh, this is actually a great set of
But
qualities.
hold on, bless.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
go ahead.
no, no, no,
Oh,
no, no,
okay.
no. It's not even that. I like what you just said. It's
Uh-huh.
the reality. But the thing is, I was like, but no, because my reality was showing me something else. It was showing me you are fine. You are okay. There's like literally, I walked, and I was even when I had the car, I walked everywhere. I hardly used it to a point I was like, sometimes I used to jump in the car, turn on the engine, and drive around because if you let your car stay for too long without
Hmm.
running the engine,
Yeah,
it's
you got
gonna
to make
start
sure
having
you
a
run it
problem, right?
once in a while. Yep.
I was like, what am I doing? It was so stupid when I actually look at it. Like, well, it wasn't stupid, but that's how I felt. I was like, what is this? Now, once I noticed that, I had my answer since,
Hmm.
but once I noticed that, I was starting applying it to the rest of my life. And then it's funny how you learn things and you learn along. But yeah, that was
Yeah,
crazy.
right. I love that because that's how a lot of it can be. I mean, even back to that idea of divine comedy or whatever. If you just there's a lot of things you do, like life happens in spite of you most of the time, not because of you, until you get yourself more at a better, heart space, let's say. Um, but like, you had all the answers right there, and yet you felt, attached to this car still, right? Um,
Yeah.
it's like it was like it was your reality, but it was a belief a belief about reality. It's not your reality, because your reality was you could walk anywhere, because that's how you're set up now. So you're golden, right? Um, I love that, because there's a Seth quote about that, and he brought this up too. Like your personal beliefs shape your reality, but I'm paraphrasing, but you do have to recognize, of course, that they are just that, though. In most cases, they're just beliefs about reality. They're
Really.
not your
That is,
reality.
yeah.
So
This is exactly that
yeah,
belief about reality. And you know what that led me, and it's funny you mentioned this because that led me to let go of any belief system, any beliefs that I had. Even if I've noticed that I'm having a belief, I was like, okay, we're about to let that go.
yeah, you had
Unless
that
I
one moment,
know,
right? So then
yeah,
you started recognizing it every. You're like, wait a
yeah,
minute, I'm doing that over here. I'm doing that up there. Like, yeah.
yeah. Because even for my home that didn't want to let go at the time, it was like, and I mean, it's not, it wasn't, it has little to see with going through the process of selling anything, your car or your home or anything else you plan on selling. It's not that. That's the least important part of it. And I
Mhm.
realized the most important part, it's your reaction to it. And that
Right.
ties
How you receive. Yeah.
everything back to what we were talking earlier about fear not being real, because what's only real, it's your reaction to it.
Hmm. Right.
And then that's what I began to notice. I don't know for your own experience, and maybe you got an experience you want to share about or not, but like for
Oh,
me
sure.
that was very prevalent.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
But I'd say my most prevalent, most pertinent example of that would be my 9 to 5, when I was still doing the 9 to 5 gig, and started getting approached by people. If you're curious for the whole story, there's a part one and part two out there. Awaken to Joy. Subscribe now. Uh, I I hit a point where I realized that people were coming up to me and asking me for help, and it was like life was basically just smacking me across the head, like, "Hey, chief, that thing you want that isn't what you're doing now is right there. Just do it." The first time I came up to that, I think I described it before, like being standing on a high dive, but like one of those monstrous, however many feet in the air high dives that you see at like an Olympic pool or something, and being like, "Okay, and jump." And jump and jump. And you just sit there like a ninny, because you're not jumping. Um, that was the first time that I recognized I'm the one who's just perpetuating all this. I chose to react that way. Fear didn't make me react that way. I reacted that way, right? Um, the first time, professionally speaking, that I recognized this, I could go back to COVID for another example, with that, but sticking in my lane for the moment, um, that recognition, and that came maybe like a month after that. I was like, I chose to react that way, because again, it's a process. It's a process. You gotta
It is.
wring all, like you're wringing all this crap out of you that's just been stuck to you since you've been here for umpteen years. Um, so the next time it came up, it was like, no, no. And part of it was spite. Part of it was just, I'm fed up. And this is, if you guys have these energies about you, like you're ready to blow your top, that's good. That's fine. You can feel that way as long as you don't blow your top at somebody, or harm them through it. Like if you need to give someone a piece of your mind because it's just been something you've been afraid to do forever, like your boss or something, there's probably a reason you feel that way, and you should probably do it because it's going to lead to your next new cool thing. But for me, it was just taking the plunge, being like, no, the universe has got me because I am the freaking universe. Like all of this is part of my experience. This is my story. It's my dream. Why wouldn't it work if I feel compelled to do this thing? So it was like jumping into the unknown, freaking balls first. Like it felt really, spooky, but choosing to not react to the fear, and instead of choosing to react that this is my path and this is going to be my joy, like recognizing that. And you'll find bigger and bigger moments or different moments throughout your life where then after doing it once or a few times, you're like, oh man, that's old hat, that's small potatoes, I know how to handle that. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I resonate with that 100% because oh, by the way, hey Cryo.
Hey, Crow.
You know what? That's the thing. For me, that was a big realization anyway, because all right, this is what, and I want to know your own view on that. I realize how you can ask for things and not be ready for it. And it's something we hear all the time. Be careful what you wish for and all of that stuff. I'm not talking
Mhm.
about that. I am
Okay.
not talking about that. I'm talking about on a more practical level. You you know you are not realizing that you actually currently manifesting.
Mhm.
And what the situation with the car for me has shown me, it's how much I hated driving in London or Paris, big cities.
I can
And I
only
used to
imagine.
cuss all the
Ugh.
time, get into beef with other drivers and all the time, simply because, the way driving is out of order in these places. So I used to profusely complain. So basically, what I didn't realize, I used to tell the universe, I don't like it. It
Right.
sucks. And then realize that, wow, I'm actually manifesting this, because now I'm at a point where I'm parting with it, and that's what I realized at the time. And I began to notice the thing that's like everything that's happening in my life. It's I played a role in it, some way,
Yes.
shape, or form.
Right.
Um,
That you were
but
the
very
operant power the whole time, right?
Yeah,
You were
but
just
then
unconscious.
but instead of being like, well, be careful what you wish for, it was more like, wow, how powerful am I? I'm extremely powerful, because literally, but you got to be honest with yourself, though. You got to go back, and it's the same thing for the house and all this stuff, work as well.
Yeah, any given moment,
Even
right?
even
Yeah.
even though I didn't have a 9 to 5, but I was doing what people see, following my passion, was in the music industry. At the time, I hated the people I used to work with. So no wonder it led to,
Lovely.
yeah, I just couldn't stand them. I felt like they had low level of integrity. I had a lot of, I guess, apathy. I used to just be like, wow, you guys are so, you've got such a low integrity. And I was judging and all that stuff.
Hmm.
But then when I see the outcome of this, I'm like, wow, why was I surprised that now? And the only reason it was difficult at the time and the bounce back didn't happen is because I didn't align with that. And there's nothing wrong to feel like, okay, this is not for me. But
Hmm.
I realized I wasn't aligning with it, being like, you know what? I really don't like this. I don't prefer this, but this is not for me. So I'm going to let go with gratitude. I'm going to be thankful for what it brought me. That I couldn't do that. I wasn't there. But then now that I understand how this actually works, and I'm just like, okay, now moving forward, I'm like, all right. So if I don't prefer something, just say I don't prefer it, but
Yep.
I'm gonna align with my new reality. So
Hmm.
what does it mean if I don't know, I don't want to keep my watch? Maybe my new reality will be like, I've got to ask the time to people, and I got to be okay with that.
Right.
Am I okay with that?
Yeah.
Or I don't like that particular watch
Hmm.
because what it means, I don't know, maybe it was offered by someone you don't like,
Well, and how it feels
or
to you too, right?
how it
Like
feels to, yeah,
that's important because if your first
yeah.
feel on something is going to tell you, like you mentioned, alignment. Um, Man, yeah, that can manifest in a lot of ways. Like I was getting physically ill, going back to my 9 to 5 example, and I brought it up before, but like I was feeling physically ill every day I went into work. I felt, ooh, like I was just dying inside. Um, and I mean, it's one thing when you're like, oh, I don't want to go to work, and it's all mental because you're like, oh, I don't want to go to work, blah blah blah. Okay, fine. But like to me, I know what being out of alignment feels like to me to extreme degrees. So that's something I just wanted to point that out quick because you brought up being out of alignment. Feel into what it feels like when you're out of alignment in your own way. see what it feels like to you, and use that as your barometer, as your compass, whatever, for every other situation in your life. Because once you can identify it once, I mean, maybe you've noticed the trend across everything we're talking about. You figure it out once, there you go. You got your point of reference. Apply that everywhere else. So just wanted to point that out quick.
Yeah, no, it's great. And you know what? I'm talking about this actually is because this goes back to the idea of disclosure and coming out of the matrix.
Hmm.
Um, and I realized, even though this that was a desire of mine, I'm not sure I was fully ready for what it fully means.
Oh, hmm.
And that's why that's basically where you going to mess up, because you've got to be in absolute alignment with the new reality, the new version of you. And for me, there was a lot of things I was complaining about, but I wasn't really ready at the time. I wasn't really ready about what's to come, what's the new version of me, or
Yeah. Well,
any
and
of that.
being honest with yourself about that too, right? Like just not there yet.
Yeah. and
Okay.
and and, and you know what kept me in that situation as well is the fact that my limited belief, and then the fact that I was trying to predetermine what the outcome is supposed to be.
Yes.
So it was only going to be this or this, and
Right.
everything in between couldn't see it.
That goes back to what you mentioned about like you could have an outcome that's so much better than anything you could have thought, because
Yeah.
this is only running on previous experiences you've had in this life. Like this only knows this. This
Yeah.
knows everything. So like when you let go, that's part of it. Like that
And
idea of surrender, like people find that spooky, but it's like no, 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 no. Like you got yourself. Just
well,
trust you got yourself.
yeah, but do you know what, that goes back to what we're talking about, is how do you know how, okay, how do you begin to realize or be how do you begin to be aware of how it feels to surrender? And that's another thing that because you can say all of these things, but the truth is, surrender to what?
Yeah.
To
Right.
not paying my bills.
Yeah. Right. Do you mean
To
I shouldn't pay taxes anymore? I've heard that one so many times now.
and so for some situation is that,
Hmm.
but are you aligned with that?
Yeah.
Because the best outcome, this is why you get someone commit a crime and getting away with it. They're in full alignment to what they're about to do, and this is why about this disclosure, why people fall for this reverse disclosure. It's that these people you're talking of, they some of them are very well aligned. It doesn't got to be good.
Right.
Alignment is alignment.
Right.
You can be
Yeah.
aligned with bullshit, and that's okay.
Right.
We did it at some point. I mean, let's not lie to ourselves here now. We had time, we're fully aligned with it.
Hmm.
We be,
Yeah.
we're
Oh yeah.
okay with it, right?
Everybody's had some Kool-Aid at some point
Now
or another.
right, but there's different degrees of it, that's all. And
Hmm.
you may not be on the top of the food chain at that point, so that's probably why you just like, and yeah, that's what I realized. I was like, hey, you know what, I gotta align with this new version I'm asking for. And that's but part of that, like you say, you have to surrender.
Yes.
and
Right.
um
Because
and
that
I
clears
did
out the signal. Right. To your point,
yeah.
like if you're asking for something, but everything else around you is just screaming no, how is that yes ever going to get through the noise?
Right.
Like, that's the surrender. That's, yeah.
But the surrendering of it is like, how does it feel? What is it? How do you materialize that? And
So
then one
from,
thing, yeah, go
oh,
ahead.
oh, yeah, yeah. Maybe if you're asking, like for me, um, the main way that I see it now is like when I feel as though I'm surrendering, it's like I picture myself like, because I love bean bags. All right, I love being like those giant freaking bean bags. I love those. I don't own one, but maybe one day. Um, but I just picture like the biggest, most comfy, like sleeping on a cloud type beanbag, and I just picture myself doing one of these and just falling backwards right into that thing, like it's
And
just
you get
got me.
caught.
Yeah, because that's what it feels like to me to
Surrender.
surrender now. It's like, because I've got me to such a degree that I know, like, man, I'm good if I just get out of my own way. Now, did it look like that at first? Oh God, no, 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 no. At first, it was like experimentation. Like, what have I got? I had to get to the point, and this is where most people get to. I feel where you're like, what have I got to lose if I just try? Like, just try it, right? Like,
Yeah,
fine. Like everything else isn't working, whatever, right? Like you're
yeah,
so fed up, and that's when you let go. And in that moment, things work out a little bit better, and you're like, oh,
absolutely.
now that you've got that little nugget of confirmation, you can turn that in here, in your imagination, whatever you want to say, into a space of comfort. And if you start associating that more and more, uh, we haven't really discussed it, but a lot of what this is like neural pathways. You know, people will talk about the neural pathways you build up in your mind and how that's the path of least resistance. So that's where your thoughts fly down that path. Well, if you can just picture surrendering like whatever is just extremely comfortable to you. Maybe it's a nice warm bath full of freaking bath bombs or whatever, you know, candles, like whatever it is for you. Just picture that as surrender for you. Like, I got me, I got this, and this is what it feels like, and that will help a lot with surrender. So,
Yeah, because a lot of things is also the intuition.
right,
Um,
yeah, Deanna, completely
um,
liberating after surrender. Exactly.
and
Yeah.
then you in your knowing because part of being willing to surrender, it's it's for you to know that you're going to be fine,
Yeah.
either way. But this is based off your intuition, and this is
Mhm.
what belief doesn't really work, because it's more, and that's, I guess it's where the saying know thyself comes from. You have to
Mm.
know yourself. You don't have to believe in yourself. This is why when people say to you this thing, believe in you and all of the stuff, it never really work. You have
Right.
to know yourself. You have to know that do you know yourself enough? I've realized is the game is that, do you know yourself enough that your soul will not put you in a situation where you're going to be worse off. It's never what your soul would do. And you're in
Right.
such an alignment that you know that.
Hmm. That belief versus knowing again, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because belief
absolutely.
implies you don't quite know yet. You're working on it probably, but when you know, and it's made to be like such a big ordeal or something unattainable to a lot of people who talk about it, or are seeking it or whatever. But it's just as much as I know there's a cat in my lap right now. I know there's a cat in my lap. Like feel into anything, it could be so mundane, right? But and there's
But is
no
it
lingering doubt. There's no nothing, like nothing pops up to be like, yeah, but what if, or blah, 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 you just know.
but
So,
perhaps it's funny you mentioned this though. Maybe it's how you train yourself in knowing.
hmm,
Because think about it, you just say something that's really relevant in terms of that's what you know. But perhaps we are not, I know we are looking to be more lucid in our dreams, but perhaps we have to be more lucid in this
mm,
dream right now,
right. Yeah.
where you acknowledge
Remembering
this
this is a
thing.
dream, basically, right?
Right? So yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, and
what's
it's
cool.
it's like a feeling tone, maybe put it that way, like knowing, because you can apply that to anything else.
Yeah.
Anything that you currently have a belief about, you can turn that into a knowing through just overriding that feeling of belief with that feeling of knowing. Like, because you have that, you designed this, you designed the whole thing, so you can just rewire this sucker if you want to. Like, yeah, you could say it's like gaslighting yourself if you need to put it that way, but it's not. You change that knowing up here and it changes everything else. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Well, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, Blessed.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I guess we've been going for a little while, huh?
yeah, we'll be going for a little while. I think it's time to wrap up now. But
Sure.
anyway, tell us more about what you're doing and
Oh,
where can people find you?
sure. So easiest place to find things. It's sporadic uploads right now, but I've got my YouTube channel still, Orion underscore concordance. I'm sure that'll be in a link somewhere. Uh, what I'm up to currently, though, I'm actually designing a bunch of coursework on the back end that'll be cropping up here, hopefully this month, walk through a lot of these concepts. Self-guided study, chances to interact with me one-on-one if they need, extra help, kind of like office hours, I guess, if you want to put it in like a college class sense. But um, things that I can put up there that will kind of stand the test of time, that can help personal empowerment. Because the whole goal in anything I'm doing, I feel like what you and Shem do, Corey, anybody in the greater community is doing, if they're stepping up to talk, is empower people to get them up to that level, so they don't need to listen to the silly things I have to say anymore. They got it figured out. I mean, they show up because they choose to, and because they love being part of the community, not because it's something to obtain above them, or something like that. So I really want to set up those courses to drive that point home. In fact, there's the most recent upload on my channel was just an off the cuff version of some stuff I'm planning out in a much more organized and less stick figure way.
Yeah, I've seen
So
that, but
yeah, that was like right off the
you're
cuff,
not
right
you're not
onto a
you,
whiteboard.
you,
Like,
you're not trying to be an artist right now anyway, right?
right. I was embracing my inner college professor and making the most god awful illustrations, and
Ah,
yeah,
I love it. God, keep it real. I mean, come on
but
now. Let's
right.
not ask too much. Do you want information or what?
Right, exactly. But that's where I feel I could do the most good. So that's where I'm putting my energies, and of course the great unlock I do with you beautiful people. So uh, yeah, that's what I'm up to these days. So look out for more information on that when I do have the courses and stuff ready. I'll post that to my channel, and I'm always open to one-on-ones, or mentorship, or counseling. If anybody feels like they just need an extra hand, like, you can just email me. The email is in my YouTube channel information as well. So I think just take it from there, figure it out. So,
So you heard it, people.
mhm.
So it's all
You
there.
heard it here
So
first.
we've got the link in the description anyway. Yeah, we've got to have you back. And actually,
Yeah, it's been a
guys,
while.
tell us what you would like us to talk about with Blessed. Oh, that'd be very interesting. I
Yeah.
mean, I know there's some subject that we can probably we often, you and I discuss about with Shem as well,
Hmm.
about the construct, yes, but there's also these ancient civilization and reset
Oh
and the
yeah.
idea behind that, which is funny that we just talk about the intuition. How do you discern what's true or not, because it seems to always contradict itself. So
Hmm.
it'd be nice to have a bit of a talk about that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'd love that. Yeah, that's more
So
the
you
in-body way to figure out, that things ain't right. If you want to put it in a,
but
a quick little quote.
you're gonna come back soon, Blessed. We've got to
Sure.
do that talk. Yeah, we'll chat about that. Unless you guys are got an idea, just let us know. All right.
Hmm.
So on that note, we gonna go now. So thank you everybody for being here and supporting that conversation. Um,
Yes. Yes. It
thank
was
you,
so good
Blessed.
to see the chat.
That was a pleasure. All
Yes.
right. Bye bye. Bye everybody.
See you guys.
Ciao.